All right. We have a pro wrestling episode. Go Home Heat production.
Hi.
Ray is here.
Ray, the Go Home Heat kid, is here.
I contribute so much to every podcast, you know. I feel
Yes.
Dominating the scene. Jared.
Yes.
New Japan Jared is here with his famous R&B singer Neo shirt.
Incorrect. This is a wrestling shirt.
Oh, okay.
It's a Neo Maki Ito Respect Army shirt.
Neo's quite a dancer.
Neo is quite a dancer.
He respects women too.
Yes.
Yes, he does.
Yes.
And we do too on this show.
Yes.
walking on eggshells.
Brandy, we do too, okay? Okay, we believe in safe places for people to talk pro wrestling.
This is okay.
If you have the cash.
There is no price too much.
This is okay.
To hop in there.
Famed Instagram influencer Brandy Rhodes.
I'm not even gonna dunk on her for that. I don't know. We'll get
part of that's in character.
Just don't.
Part of the famed influencer stuff is in character. Okay.
Okay, just okay. A little advice from me.
She did say that totally in character.
Absolutely.
Oh wait, she did. That was totally in character. Huh.
Yes, the thing that's confusing is that she's offering brand advice in her program as well. But can be in character a little bit too, right? Because she says it on the same TV show.
It's just a personal thing.
Yes.
Whenever I hear the word influencer, I just kind of die a little.
Yeah, it's not a great phenomenon.
It's not a great word.
We love Brandy around here, though.
We do.
She's in the first family.
Yes.
This is
and if you want to say the first family of AEW, it qualifies. If you want to say the first family of pro wrestling and take Pops Dusty into account, absolutely.
We're absolutely walking on eggshells.
Eric Young, Impact Pro Wrestling versus Willie Mack. It starts backstage. They fight their way out. Eric Young has a fantastically brutal pile driver in which he uses to finish this.
Lord.
What did you think about this match?
RVD-esque sell from Willie.
Yes.
It's amazing how some dudes are able to just kind of bounce on their heads.
Especially when that dude in question is
kind of like large.
Willie Mack's huge. He's a big fella.
Right. But what do we think?
I thought it was a fun time.
Yeah, Eric Young's a very good pro wrestler.
Eric Young really is.
And so's Willie Mack.
I didn't actually see much of him before this point. I feel like this is the first time I've actually seen him wrestle.
Yeah. Well, think about this. He had to. Now he's not uber athletic, but he's athletic. But he's not what you would consider an X division.
Yeah.
Guy. You know what I mean? He's not a luchador. He's not Will Ospreay. He's not. Which Ospreay's bigger, but you know what I'm saying. But what Eric Young had to overcome to become a main eventer, a world champ in this organization, to give the WWE, even though you can say it didn't work out there. For some reason, they thought it was a big deal. They handed him Sanity. Sanity was a big deal in NXT. It was only when it got to the main roster that it lost its way. He can carry a mic. He can carry a belt. And he can carry a company given the opportunity and given a faction around him that he gets to speak for everyone for. And in the comedy stuff he did with ODB, where he was that was just as good as anything else he's ever done. It's just you can't take him seriously in that because the job's not to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Now, the Good Brothers, speaking of being taken seriously, want a piece of Ace Austin. And they're going to be looking for him throughout this show. Taya at WrestleFraud. Kylie Ray doesn't buy that Taya's greatest hits was really voted on and nominated to be what everybody watches tonight on TV, and she's willing to. What was it she wanted? She wanted a recount or an investigation into voters' fraud. Is that right?
Yeah, she said something
like that. All right. And so they're going to wind up getting into it throughout this episode. Reno Scum attacks Rhino backstage and gets
his money.
Hernandez's money.
Yes.
In return, he will be given his money back, and he'll have to give that money back to them because they won the right. That's how that works, right? He paid them to go get his money.
Yes.
So then they'll have to give him back his money, and then he'll give it back to him.
Some portion of it, yeah.
Right. Right. But it's the principle.
But it's the principle.
Right. Rosemary talks with Crazy Steve, and she wants to make Bravo jealous and puts a spell on one of the Triple X guys, and that turns into a legend of Larry getting in a match. Dude, I love this. It's so dumb.
I know,
my God.
It was really...
I just felt like I was getting dumber as I watched, and kind of... I love Rosemary.
That was the appeal of it, though, you know?
Right. I love those two big dudes rolling around out there in the yard.
Oh, man, they got mad
Wrestling.
at each other because it was like, what's wrong with you, dude? You don't want any popcorn?
Yes. Jordani Grace winds up with Kimberly, and she gets the dub here. It was good. Kimberly looked good today.
Kimberly is pretty good.
I
wasn't
took
sure
her
at
a month.
first. Yeah.
It took her a month to find her legs, but she did much better in there today. Heath still needs a gig.
Yeah. He's got kids and all that.
Yes.
Oh, it was a segment on Locker Room Talk where she was like, Madison Rayne was like, hey, I have an ad for you. And then it was just Heath for like 30 seconds talking about how he needs a job. He's got kids and all that. And it was like against a green screen background. And he had like a hashtag at the bottom of it that like popped up at the wrong time. It was...
Wasn't there some kind of agreement if that could get trending, he could get a gig? Scott Gilmore?
I don't know if there was an agreement. I think he thinks there was an agreement.
Okay, even better.
He was under the illusion.
Yes, even better because Locker Room Talk is not over. RVD is on Locker Room Talk with Katie, and that means smooching.
Smooching, baby.
Yeah, yes. Madison gets grossed out and runs off. The lights flicker. Sami Callihan, nothing is as it seems. Sami Callihan jumps them. And then does Katie get the... I can't remember. Sammy winds up getting better of him here, or does Katie flip it on him?
I think they eventually flip it on
I think
Sammy.
so too. Trey Miguel gets invited by Moose to fight for that TNA title.
Well, not technically Trey Miguel. Trey Miguel had stolen Suicide's mask, and Moose gave the contract to, in quotes, Suicide, who was Trey Miguel.
Wentz was scared of Moose.
Wentz was terrified. He was wearing the EC3 hoodie.
Right.
And Moose had a problem with that.
Yes.
He's like, oh man, he said something. He's like, oh man, it's cold. Can I take it off later? I promise.
Dude, this was great.
That was a super fun little segment. I like the
invitation only.
Yes, the invitation only, giving it to someone you've already beaten twice. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Third time's the charm, and it turns out he gave it to the wrong guy because, as Trey Miguel said, that's why you never take off the mask.
Yes. That's why luchadors don't take off the mask.
That is. Jake is having trouble with Susie. She has the runs. Right? He tries to have dinner with her, and she announces what?
They were having like a dinner date,
Mm-hmm.
and other people were covering for them for Taya, saying that they both had the runs, and then Susie I don't think she like quite got it, so she was like, I have the runs, and then she leaves. I don't know if she did or not, but it was great. It was a really fun little segment.
It was. And that's going to turn into her getting mad at the girl who set her up, or the girl who set her up getting disappointed in her performance at the date. So Alicia and her winds up.
Oh, yeah, and then, Alicia's like, I gave you perfect advice. And Susie was like, your advice is bad. I'm like, oh my God. That was fighting words.
Yes, your advice is bad. So it's match time. Okay. But we're going to go to Kiera Hogan in Steels versus...
Dude, do you ever wish that happened in real life?
What?
Like someone says something dumb and you're just like, all right, let's go. Let's have a match.
No.
I need that in my life. No?
No. I don't like to fight. I've never been big on it. But,
well, it's all a work, brother. You know what I mean?
Yes. Neva. Maybe I did when I was young. Maybe I was a little bit like when I was much younger. Maybe I was more like that.
That's
than
fair.
Now, you know what I mean? And when I drank
Yes.
heavily
Yes.
to the point of blacking out,
Yes.
those were probably moments where I would think about that more.
Yeah, that's fair.
Cover your ears, Ray. Cover your ears. That never ever happened.
What?
A lot. Okay, Neva Havoc versus
What are you guys
Kiera
talking
Hogan
about?
and Steels.
Tasha Steelz. Kiera
And
Hogan.
we get a no DQ match. I thought it was okay.
I thought it was all right.
Yeah. The girl, Hogan and Steels win. Fine. Suicide versus Dez with Wentz, Gallows. Yes. That goes down. And then Gallows and Anderson clear the ring.
Yeah, there's a short segment beforehand with Scott D'Amore where they go up and they're like, listen, we're going to the ring and we're not leaving until Ace Austin shows up. And then after they leave, Scott's like, man, these guys are like Hall and Nash, huh?
Giving me a real Hall and Nash vibe.
That was
which was the line of the night.
Oh, it was dope.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
Scott D'Amore always has a segment where he just says something incredible.
Right. Well, if you're going to be the guy in a company writing in the segment where you get the zinger,
Oh,
nice
dude.
and quick. You
Yeah,
roll
dude.
through, you say the zinger.
It's
you
tried
keep
and true
rolling.
method. Put
Yeah.
yourself over.
Yes. Isn't that right, Ray? If you're going to put anything over, you put over what?
Yourself.
Not wrestling.
Not wrestling.
Yourself, right.
Yourself.
Okay, Gallows and Anderson's promo
Not
is
anything but
interrupted.
wrestling.
Is interrupted by Ace, and he's on the big screen, and he will fight them at Emergence.
I'm looking forward to that event.
I am
It's
too.
like 2 weeks.
Yes, yeah, it looks like it's going to be good. Flashback. Speaking of the royal family, Cody loses to their world champ.
Yes.
And again, we notice they continually put over
Eddie Edwards.
and their show versus the people who have left their company.
Absolutely. I mean, that's how it's done.
You know how good they are on social media? Last night, Abyss, Joseph Parks, is in a segment with AJ Styles. He plays some kind of computer guy that does the crunches numbers for AJ. Okay, which if this was that I can explain all of that, but we'll just suffice it to say
Are you saying that he's not currently hiding outside of Wrestle House with a bag of thumbtacks?
I 100% think that's what he's really doing.
Okay, that's fair.
I think he just flew in for this one segment. But that's a comedy segment they did over there. But as soon as that segment hits, as soon as because you didn't even know he was going to be in a second segment, but as soon as you saw him on Twitter, Impact puts out, watch AJ Styles versus Abyss, and then they show Abyss getting his face slammed into tacks. And then when Jeff Hardy later jumps AJ, they immediately put out the spot where Jeff does the swanton from about 20 feet onto Abyss onto a table in a match with Kurt, where it's like a triple threat thing. Dude, it's so well done, right?
Like, I mean, so many people had great careers over there, so it's like, yeah, you ever think like, man, I remember watching that. I should watch that again. And it's like, bam, on your Twitter feed right there.
Yeah, right. All you got to do is join our club, Impact Plus, and you can watch. And it's great. Impact Plus is great, by the way, if you want to have a good time. We enjoy it. Raju talks Bay into a triple threat match with TJP where Raju will help Bay in this, for a guy that claims he's a finesser.
Big brain moment.
This was not smart on Bay's fault.
Real big brain.
But I like it.
I love his reasoning for it. His reasoning for it was like Rohit was talking about how if it's a triple threat match, it'll be me and you versus him because we're allied, which is the most transparent, just see-through plan ever.
Right.
Like, hilariously so. And Chris Bay's like, well, you're not going to be a problem because I already beat you. And it's like, one-on-one, yeah.
And I mean, every triple threat match you've ever watched,
You have two
there's
people allied,
a point where they
Hunter
go,
gets kicked in the head.
me and you beat him up for a little bit.
And then Sean kicks Hunter in the head.
Right, correct. Every time.
Every time.
Yes, somebody's got to do it. A friend. Who's the friend that's going to turn on the friend first? In Sean's case, it's always Sean.
Always Sean.
He's a terrible friend.
You should not be trusting him.
He's a really bad friend. Susie versus Alicia outside at the Wrestle House. And Susie winds up winning. And Taya says it's group time. Kylie wants a nap. Instead, in this, they're going to have another match next week. I liked it.
Yes. Dude, the Wrestle House segments are so fun.
Yes. Night one is of this tournament is Motor City Machine Guns. They announced it. Who else going? Motor City Machine Guns versus The North. Taya versus Kylie Ray. Moose versus Trey Miguel. And Bay, TJP, and Raju in a triple threat. Week 2 is Perazo versus Grace. An Iron Man match for them two. And Eddie versus EY.
Which could be all quite good.
I can't imagine it not being really good.
Yeah.
Incredibly intrigued to see Jordani Grace go 30 minutes.
Yes.
Because she is going to have to put in work. And I think she could do it. But an Iron Man match is way different. Also, it's taped.
That's thinking. So if she ever looks suddenly refreshed about halfway through the match, you're like,
Yeah.
Her eye makeup's a little different. And if they do something like that, that's fine. I'm not looking for like super. I'm not going to be like, oh, it's not authentic.
Yeah.
It's wrestling.
Which they may not. They may go straight through. Who knows? Eddie versus. You're right there,
Hi.
Yes. Eddie versus Brian Myers.
I'm just making you realize that I'm still like here.
Yes.
Eddie versus Brian Myers is next. And I thought Brian Myers had a good account of himself. Eddie winds up winning with the Boston Knee Party, which needs to happen. We're getting continuity with the belt, which is Eddie's whole point. What did you think about this episode?
That was a pretty good episode.
Now, did you watch the tag team AEW tournament as we move to other things in the week?
Yes.
Did you enjoy it?
Wait, did I watch this week's? What was on it? Was it the Ivelisse and Diamante match?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did watch that one then. Sorry, time's so weird, especially with the whole, pandemic.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like, was that this week? Was that last week?
Well, that was Monday, though, too. By the time we get to Saturday, it's been a long time. What did you think about Dark? Did you like Dark?
I like Dark. I actually ended up watching last week's Dark a bit, too, because it just, auto-played after the tag team tournament, and I just assumed it was this week's, but it was last week's.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool seeing, Jack Evans back and Angelico.
Right. Now, so you would recommend both shows?
Honestly, yeah. Okay. I mean, the tag tournament's all right. I mean, I like Ivelisse and Diamante.
I meant both Darks.
Oh, both Darks, yes.
Last week and this week?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Darks, now that they've kind of moved back to having, their talent wrestle each other, it's better.
Right, of course.
Well, it's like you get Jack Evans versus, who was it? It was a good little match, especially because Jack Evans is a savant at moving himself in weird ways.
Yeah.
Just every time I watch him, I'm just like, how?
Last week it was Jack Evans versus the guy that's supposedly smitten with Allie.
Oh, QT Marshall.
Right. I don't know. I didn't get to see this week's yet. I'll probably watch it.
It was the Natural Nightmares, so Dustin and QT versus TH2.
Whoa.
It was a pretty good little match.
Dude.
It didn't go as long as I would have liked, but again, it's dark. It's not going to be 30-minute bangers. You know what I mean?
But I like Hybrid Theory.
Yeah. Hybrid Theory, maybe?
Yeah, I'm okay. All right, so we're going to move on to Dynamite. What is scheduled for the show? Cassidy versus Jericho, Paige Omega versus Jurassic Express, Sheeta, appearance by Sheeta in a match, Moxley, appearance, Cody, and Scorpio Sky. The Dark Order versus the Young Bucks, Grayson and Uno, and Evil Uno. This is the action. The Bucks are who they are. I enjoyed this match. I love watching Evil Uno and Grayson work.
Oh,
they're
awesome.
I've started to like them better than anybody else in the tag team.
They're dope.
Yeah.
They've been on the circuit for the indies for a decade or something, you know what I mean? They're really good.
Yeah. It's weird too because when they came in, whatever reason it didn't do it for me. And the Butcher and the Blade were the same thing.
And now, the Butcher and the Blade's one of my favorite tag teams.
They're two of my favorite tag teams.
They're so
on the
enjoyable.
Show. Right.
Oh my god, the weird
them
stomping.
and Hybrid Theory.
Yes. The weird stomping thing that Butcher
They're
does.
not Hybrid Theory.
Of course
It's Hybrid Theory, TH2.
Dude.
Theory of Hybrid 2.
To the moon with a Meteora.
Think about it for a second. Anyways, the stomping thing.
In the
Butcher
park with
does.
Lincoln.
That wasn't even clever.
Go ahead. You're saying. I'm sorry.
The Butcher's stomp thing he does around the ring at the beginning. Oh, it's dope.
Oh, absolutely.
Again, these two teams are just awesome now.
Right.
And it was Tag Team Appreciation Night, so I was appreciating these
right.
tag teams.
Now, the finish here, they isolated I mean, you have the Dark Order outside the ring. They isolate the Bucks. There's no way they can win, and then they win in a roll up. Correct.
Yes.
Okay. And then we get Maxwell, Jacob Friedman. And he's got polling numbers, and he's about to come give it to you. He lays on the ground. Go ahead.
I do want to mention a detail because in the scene where they're like walking through the hallway, someone tries to move in front of him and he like shoves him back against the wall. That itself was a callback to when he was an NXT security guard, and Joe did the same thing to him.
Right.
Yeah, Samoa Joe.
Attention to detail. Right.
I don't know. It's just a nice little continuity.
there are many Joes from NXT.
Joe.
Average Joes.
Samoan Joes. Do you know any other? Yeah, name another Joe, actually.
Joe.
And a Y.
That does count. That's fair. Was he NXT?
Joe Anoa'i, yeah, he was FCW and NXT.
I didn't watch the early NXT stuff.
Well, nobody. It wasn't even on TV yet.
Yeah, that.
I don't even think there wasn't a network yet.
NXT.
So
the crazy thing, it's so surreal when you go back to like NXT in 2010 because it's like a reality show thing. Like, have you seen the clip of Titus O'Neil falling over with the metal barrel?
No, but like that sounds like something Titus would do. I hate that I know Titus for tripping, and I'm sure he had like a career before that, and he's like he's like the super nicest guy.
He was like a great football player at Florida too.
Yeah,
and he's he's like humanitarian man of the year all the time.
He's getting some award or something for it, and I'm just like, he's the guy that trips.
Right.
I hate that. Anyways.
He and Batista show up all over the world doing great stuff.
Which is so cool.
And he can just drop a phone call to Batista, and Batista will get on a plane and go to be there because they're just.
I wish Batista was like that with me.
Yeah,
I wish I was
he seems like a great human.
I know, dude.
You know. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Mox runs down. I mean,
Mox hits
Friedman runs down Mox. He says the whole company is laying on its back for you. Here, let me make you comfortable since you won't show. He lays on his back. I thought he did this really well. I thought it was a little overplayed to me because I don't love it when people explain to me what's going on because I feel like I'm smart enough to. So when we hear Mox is in the building and everybody panics and he starts sending them up to find him there, and then you have Taz telling us why this is a brilliant move. I'm like, you don't have to do all that. Everybody gets it.
Everyone knows Mox comes in.
But that's minuscule because it was well done.
Yeah, because Mox just comes through the entrance thing and lays him out, and it was an entertaining little bit.
And now, sidebar, he's trying to get the Paradigm Shift banned from the match, which is great if he can get it done. Because what has Moxley been working on? His
submissions and the Gotch-style pile driver.
Yeah.
It's been working.
Right. So this could be fun if they do that.
I do kind of hope they do. Yeah. In all honesty, yeah.
Why not increase the degree of difficulty a little bit?
Yes.
And
I'd like to see more stuff like that where it's like finishers are banned.
Dude, how great would it be if you just had an episode where everybody's finishers banned?
You can't do it. You gotta beat them somehow else.
Yeah.
Submission, other move.
Submission matches or whatever.
Okay, here's the thing though. How many wrestlers do you think would win with roll-ups?
All of them.
Like literally all of them.
How about
they'd all have the exact same finish?
How about have roll-up appreciation night?
Yes. Get Toru Yano over there. My man's gonna be duct taping their legs and
get Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan, Mr. Small Package. Daniel Bryan.
Get that guy over there. Who else has like a famous small package? Dude, man, I really got to work on.
People always talk about the Steamboat Savage match, and they went with probably 30 roll-ups in that match and kick out. You know what I mean? Because to give it nobody had really done that. They were giving it the illusion that this could end at any minute. You know what I mean? Okay.
Yeah, that might be the greatest match anybody's ever done.
Cody versus Scorpio. Speaking of match of the year, JR told us this was match of the year before it even happened. Yes.
Was he right?
We'll see. Cody versus Scorpio Sky. What did we think?
It was okay.
It was okay. Scorpio Sky is so good to be in a match that's okay.
It's literally a 3-star match, or like
I wouldn't even give it 3 stars.
2.5.
Yeah, like maybe 2.5. I don't know. This match never really got started for me. And I feel like Cody works like a slower style, so when it's just like, okay, well, this should be really Scorpio shining through, it ends up being, Scorpio's starting to like really get into it, and he's lost.
Right. And
yeah, I don't know. I'm just not thrilled. I'm not thrilled with how they did the build up. I'm just
here. One thing that's how do you put it? When you're going to have a guy wrestle every week, that guy needs to wrestle the other guy's match some. We've had the same formula. We're getting Cody every week, but Cody is selling an injury every week, even if it's to a different part or something like that. He's selling, but he's not. He's doing the same match, the same pace all the time. And I'll tell you something else. Them saying to me after he's done, he's wrestling at too much of a pace. He's pushing himself too hard by doing this thing every week. Okay, before AEW, every wrestling company had more than one show a week. Cody's literally working one day a week. He's putting out. I get it. It's supposed, you know what I mean. But to me, they're overplaying their hand with that.
Wait, isn't this the day that they redid the title? Or
yes, they.
Well, we're coming to that.
Yes,
we're coming to that because he gets the gold.
Plot point.
He gets the gold title. Brody comes out after the win and says, "I'm taking that beautiful new title from you. I might leave you this one." And he shows him the old nasty one that he had to hold up for a month.
The straight up the coin.
Yeah,
I like the new one though.
I like Brody Lee getting into there. This could be really good. Cody wrestles a little slower. Brody wrestles a little slower.
Oh, this might be way better of a match stylistic match.
This might be the match. This might be the best match Cody's had in AEW. What? No. You're burying my man Cody. Listen, just because he's not putting out a 5-star match every week doesn't mean he doesn't put out good matches. Since Dustin.
He absolutely. I like the MJF match.
The MJF match was fine.
This, I don't know.
It was pretty good.
The potential to be.
The MJF match did have some weird spots in it though, like him licking Cody's feet.
He was biting Cody's feet, which was weird.
Which was like also.
I'm certain that JR is going to tell me that this match is going to be match of the year though. So.
Jungle.
Which means like it's going to jinx it, and it's not.
Jungle Express.
The Jungle Experience.
The Jungle Experience.
The Jungle Raider Experience.
Jungle Raiders experiencing.
Paige and Omega. We have Jungle Boy. We have Luchasaurus, and we have a great match with the standard Paige Omega finish. Interesting that they did do a segment. This is Tag Team Appreciation Night, and I think somehow I did not write down probably the most important segment of the show, which I'll get to in 2 seconds. But they are talking about tag team wrestling, and your guy Omega says, "My favorite tag team," or "What do you think is the greatest tag team?" And he says,
"Oh, the Young Bucks."
Correct.
He says it like it's the obvious, super obvious choice.
And Paige takes a little bit again. Why are we talking about them when we're the champs? The key to this, though, to me, Paige is right to be irritated. We should be the best tag team if we're. And then I think Omega even says, "Well, we're singles wrestlers."
Oh yeah, he does, and it's just like you can tell how hurt Hangman is by that. Can you imagine like working with someone like that and just like developing a bond in like our wrestling style with them, and it's just like, oh, we're just two singles wrestlers. We're not like together.
Right.
And it's like, wait.
Of course we are.
We're a team. We're the champions.
Right.
Like not only are we a team that's like. Has an incredible record. We're the literal champions. We have the belts, dude.
Right. And now going back to the segment that I think is the most important one on the show, due to the fact it's Tag Team Appreciation Night, is you have the FTR, you have the Young Bucks, you have the Rock and Roll Express, and you have Arn and Tully. And you wind up everybody talking wonderfully and glowingly about one another, and Ricky Morton tells the Young Bucks, I think he says they're the greatest tag team in history. If not, he thanks them for having brought tag team wrestling to a focal point of a company, which is something that's not normal, and he appreciates that. Heights it's never been before, I believe he might have said. Then Arn mentions that he's had issue with Tully, but blah, blah, blah. and he talks about how FTR reminds him of whatever and how great they are. To which Tully says, "May I see the mic?"
Tully.
And he buries Arn. He buries tag team. He buries every tag team in the ring because he said, "This is all about championships, and none of y'all got any." And I loved it.
Oh my god! I thought the segment was going on for a really long time before Tully got the mic. So when Tully just started ripping, I was like, "Let's go, dude!"
Yes.
I was like, "This segment's picking up."
And he was great. And then FTR plants Ricky Morton in the ring, and
the spike pile driver.
It's so
speaking of another
so
dude who
good.
just like bounces off of his head, Ricky Morton's like 60. And he's
still.
doing it.
Still, he may not be. Well, you know what's funny is I never really thought of Ricky as a great wrestler because he's the quintessential. He gets beat up for the hot tag guy. Maybe the inventor of that role, and yet here we are all these years later. He's still doing it, but also he's still as good as most people that wrestle. You know, there's more. I would say this: there are more people making money wrestling that are worse than him than are better.
Yes.
And he's 60. That is nuts.
What'd you think about this segment though with FTR turning? It was great.
I loved it. Why would FTR need to turn?
I mean,
why were they ever not? You know what I mean? Come on, man.
Now I love the ending to this segment where like Paige and Omega come out, and Hangman's he's sipping on a drink,
Yeah.
But he goes out and he's like, what's going on? What'd you guys do that? Like he's so I don't know, dude. He's been hurt so much this week.
Yes, but we need Hangman to go with them.
Yes, because again, we're getting a 4 horsemen. I'm certain of it.
Right.
Who it will be, we'll see.
Cody.
I'm thinking it's going to be
Cody, Hangman, and FTR.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I think Spears is kind of a red herring of a sort.
Right. Or it becomes... No, you're right. Spears is a red herring. Also, Cody maybe does something to... I'm sorry. He just signed with him. I can't remember his real name. Woo, woo, woo.
Woo, woo, woo. Oh, Matt Cardona.
Matt Cardona.
Yes.
Okay.
Woo, woo.
But if Cody were to attack Matt Cardona, that's probably the best way to turn a 4 horsemen thing in, right?
Yes.
Then you could have it. Yeah, I think it's great. Okay. Hikaru Shida and Heather Monroe are up next, and they have a match. It's over.
Roughly a minute long.
Yes. On to the main event of the evening.
No, I want to talk about something for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
I would have preferred to have seen Shida in a larger role. I feel like if she at least like wrestles people every week, that's like way better than it has been.
I'm confused about why you would put your main champion in a match with
a jobber
with old John Smith or something.
The Brooklyn Brawler.
Putting champions in squash matches is a time-tested tradition.
Right. Your champion is an event without it being a major match.
Yes, you don't have to have a banger every week. Although I will say squash matches, I'm not thrilled by them. However, I felt like the girl this time was entertaining, and I wanted to speak to a larger thing where it's like some of these indie girls they have for these squash matches are like instantly recognizable and have personalities that are way more vivid than their signed talent. It's like that girl, she's in the tournament. She wears like fashion stuff. It's like Rochelle Shanae or something.
Uh-huh.
It's a name that's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And she's great, and she like hits people with a fake Gucci purse. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I instantly recognize her, and then it's like, well, what are Shida's qualities? It's like, well, she doesn't give up. She always fights.
She kicks sometimes.
She does knee moves. I don't know. It's just like sometimes these indie girls are just like, again, instantly recognizable, and that's what you have to be on the indies. You have to have a gimmick.
Right.
And it's like if you're signed to a company, all of a sudden you just don't have a gimmick anymore? You're just a wrestler?
Right. What was Sheeta's role prior to getting here?
I mean, she was champion in a couple places, I'm pretty sure. I didn't really watch her, though. She was in promotions that I did not really watch.
Okay. I was wondering if she had more personality before she got there.
It is also entirely possible. I mean, she seems nice. She's mega talented. She does her own gear. She plays piano really well.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. It's just like I just find it boring when a champion's just like, I'm here to fight and I'll accept any challenger, and just like there's no like layer to it. It's just that's them.
That's my thing.
That's my thing. And it's like, well, that's why I at least like appreciate Britt Baker for being like, she sucks, but she sucks in like a multitude of ways. You know what I mean? It's not just like one note, I'm nasty because whatever. It's just like, I'm self-absorbed, I'm rude, I don't care. You know, stuff. It's a little better.
Well, my thing with Britt isn't her.
Yeah.
My thing with Britt is we had 10 people signed, and she was the only one getting airtime, and then she gets hurt and she continues to be the only one getting airtime, right? That's my thing. It got nothing to do with Britt Baker. You know what I mean? Like, do I think she's great in the ring? Not yet. Do I think she could be? Absolutely. You know what I mean? But she's coordinated. She seems to have a great work ethic.
She continues to train and get better. Absolutely.
She got stuck in a spot where she got spotlight. And the other thing about her is, my opinion on her is very much in the minority. Everybody loves her but me in this world. You know what I mean? And that's okay, because I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying what I'm saying is it lends itself to AEW knows what it's doing, because
people do like her.
And I will say something about AEW too, as just in general. I have issues with things they do that the bulk of people that watch this show absolutely don't have issues with. And so I'm not sitting here telling you or anybody else that I'm right. I'm just interpreting it the way I interpret it and saying, for me, it would need to be this, because it was a blank slate.
I was half expecting you to go, I'm not expecting any of you to think I'm right. But
no,
I kind of am. No, just as a joke.
We have a company that is very much centered around tag team wrestling. That's foreign to me. You know what I mean? So it's something I'm going to have to learn to adjust to. You know, the ways a couple of these guys work aren't. I'm having to relearn the art of storytelling as something that I didn't think that it was. And what I'm really learning is that, like Meltzer said, and we were talking about, we may do a pod on this at some point, ring psychology is not necessarily the continuing of a storyline. Ring psychology is making a product that is visually captivating an audience, which I had not thought of it like that. I always thought ring psychology is you're telling me the story of this rivalry in the ring.
Yes.
Which is evidently not what it is. Is okay.
That would be like storytelling. Psychology, it's slightly different.
Right. Well, it's completely. The way Meltzer explained it the other day, and I'll defer to him. He's much more knowledgeable on all this stuff.
He's watched quite a bit of wrestling.
Right. But again, on a product like this, because of his love for Lucha Libre, his love for New Japan, and the fact that he was immersed in them, he's 30 years ahead of me on this style of product. Right? So when I say, Meltzer again, of course, but by the same token, I'm not saying he's wrong for sure. That dude's been around. Now, do I think, hey, look, in this day and age, if you put your television on Fox News, you're getting an interpretation of news. If you put it on MSNBC, you're getting an interpretation of news. Agenda-driven news is what you get, whether it's real news, whether it's First Take, ESPN, two guys arguing at a debate table, whether it's wrestling Twitter. It's literally my opinion of what these numbers mean, or these actions
It's crazy
mean.
how when you said all of those things, the one I cringed at was wrestling Twitter. Like when the most comfortable site to talk about your product is Reddit, You have a problem.
Well, one issue you would have with wrestling Twitter, though, right, is that at least if you're following news, there's two versions of the truth. If you're following, they're wrestling news tends to all flow in one direction, and there doesn't tend to be a lot swimming up that stream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's a little different. Whereas with the other forms of entertainment we're talking about, they've been on the scene so long, you have pros and cons on both sides arguing, which you don't get as much right now. You basically have marks. But the problem with, and I'm a mark, by the way, when I say you have marks, I'm not being critical of it.
Dude, I watch so much wrestling every week. You know what I mean?
Right. But what you do wind up having is no discussion because
word mark is you're a mark. Are you kidding me?
Also true.
If you say something derogatory about this, you're automatically stupid because I like this, and vice versa, which doesn't allow for any middle ground. Okay,
there's no nuance.
Speaking of
you can
nuance,
criticize AEW for its faults while still being like, yeah, every week I tune in and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I can't tell you, as a wrestling fan in general, I have no idea how many times I said, God, I hated that. Clicked off the TV set, and then it was like, man, it was a fun time. And moved on. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it's always
they're all
fun.
parts of a whole, and it's
Right.
like when you just examine and talk about the parts
Like that
maybe,
last NXT finish with Pat McAfee. It sucked, but it's still gonna tune into NXT.
valid point where it's just like, okay, this one segment's not going to like ruin the entire thing for me. And it's like, if you look at the negatives and you kind of go like, well, this could have been better, this could have been worse, you kind of, if you're just listening to people talk like that, you kind of lose the bigger picture of just like, well, it's still a good product. I still tune in every week, and they have good matches and stuff I really enjoy.
Right.
Which I try to balance it a little much, where I'm just like, I really like this, but I maybe didn't like this. You know, I try to.
Now, Jake Roberts was shirtless in this episode.
Yes. Yeah.
You want to get into that, or are you ready?
Yeah,
to move on?
there was a short little segment where
Archer stripped him naked.
Just like ripped his shirt, and he's like, "Oh man, it's a $200 shirt." He
then turn him around.
Turn around, and he's got like graffiti on his back.
Right.
It says "Everybody dies," and I'm like, "This was a weird segment."
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong, I love seeing Archer beat dudes up in the background while Jake talks. Give me more of that.
Right.
And I do kind of like the furthering of this story as like, well, Jake seems to be less in control of Archer, than he's just pointing him in the right direction.
Right.
You know what I mean? I do like that dynamic.
Well, it needs to be that needs to be the dynamic because Archer
to do something.
Archer's too good to have this mouthpiece all the time. He didn't need that before to get over in other parts of the world.
No, he'd just go and terrorize young children in the audience and throw water at them, and it was awesome.
Right.
People loved it.
I don't know if you can do that in America though.
Oh, dude, but it's so wild. Like in Japan, he would literally just go up and just like yell in kids' faces, and the parents would love it.
That was also pre-virus.
Yeah, there's a lot of things.
Well, hopefully we'll get
back to that.
Hopefully at some point, yeah. Jericho versus Orange Cassidy, and Cassidy wins in a roll up. What did you think about all this? Did you enjoy this?
It was all right. It wasn't like my favorite, but I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed
that roll up.
I don't know, Jericho's really entertaining.
That roll up was
great.
Was something else, all right. His shoulder wasn't even. He could literally just went.
Oh, I forgot the referee. Speaking of
Mike Chioda. That was for Cody's match, though, right? Or was he in both?
No, he was in both, I think.
Okay.
Which is cool. I'm glad that guy's finding work.
Right. I guess obviously they're not through with each other.
No, definitely not.
And then his buddies come down at the end and get into it with Pride and Power. So we're going further along this route with it. And I don't mind that. It'll be interesting to me what you do with the Cassidy after this. Because sometimes, the old, cat's out of the bag and toothpaste out of the tube. Can you put his personality back up? Because he hasn't opened it up all the way, but in the ring he's opened it up a lot. So I don't know what you do there.
That was kind of always my worry with Orange Cassidy, is once the cat would be out of the bag and he just like wrestles a match, it would be like, could he really go back? Well, I don't know, and we'll
and
see.
That's
just the worry, you know.
He is good in the ring, but he is getting huge bonus points for the fact that nobody's ever seen him do a lot of this stuff, and that's okay. But it's
see him do that. It's like,
well, when you get right, once we get to a third match, and it's over. Okay, then we're gonna have seen it 3 times, and so then at some point he either has to give us a lot or go back, and I get that too. And I guess you can always go back, but it'll be I just think his story arc will be interesting, and Jericho will, Cassidy has been put in a position where you could put him in a match with Cody for that title. You could. I don't know if you could put him in a match with Mox, but it wasn't even thought of before this program. Yes. And now he will be able to wrestle upper mid card if he wants to coming out of this, and it'll be matter. You had a good time this week?
I had a good time this week.
Tell me about Japan.
Okay, so Japan, there's not a whole lot going on. They just had a couple of events. The big thing was the finish to the 6-man tournament, which was Yoshihashi, Goto, and Ishii winning the belts over Okada, Sho, and oh no, I forgot who the last person was. Who's another Chaos member? Anyways, the big thing was this is Yoshihashi's first title belt ever.
Right.
12 years of wrestling. This was his very first title belt.
That's awesome.
My man, it was so heartwarming. I just want to point out that Okada sold like him like crazy during the match, which is so, I don't know, it's heartwarming to me.
Right.
To see Okada go to that length. And then Okada, after the match, takes the belt and actually puts it on Yoshihashi.
Yes.
Oh, it was so sweet, dude.
Right.
They went over to the announcers and Milano's like tearing up because it's just such a sweet moment, and Yoshihashi talks for a little bit about how like...
How long has Yoshihashi been in the company?
12 years.
He said 12 years.
12 years. Yeah. He talks about like facing adversity, but he never gave up. And in uncertain times like this, you just have to never give up. And it was really sweet. It was really heartwarming, and I was just so happy to see it.
But I think really what's important here is you said who else was in that group?
Goto and Ishii.
So you're saying Goto has a belt.
Goto has a belt now, baby.
Yes. Say it loud for the people in the back.
Yes.
Dude. Love that guy. Love him. Okay.
But other than that, they're just, I'm going to no-sell that.
He's the Fierce Warrior.
The Fierce Warrior. Other than that, they're just setting stuff up for King of Pro Wrestling, which I guess Okada is going to be in a weird stipulation match.
Wait, isn't Goto that guy that loses all the time?
No, he won.
And he's like part of the Bullet Club?
He has a belt now.
He's a champ. You call him a champ.
He's a champ. There's Suzuki versus Shingo for the Never belts.
Oh yeah, GTR. Goto wins.
Yes. Now you're learning, baby.
I got 2 words for you. Goto wins.
I think he does have a move.
He does have 2.
Yeah. But yeah, they're just setting stuff up for the most part. So the Yoshihashi thing was the big thing.
And as we know, it's how far away from G1 season are we?
G1 starts in September, I believe. So like.
And we know what the G in 1 stands for.
Goto, baby.
Yes.
He's gonna win it.
G1 stands.
Listen, I'm gonna keep it real with you, Chief. Goto ain't winning. He's gonna put on some good matches.
Yeah, and I think
he ain't winning.
He's at that point in his career, and something like this is he'll lose some good matches, and then he'll get that upset that screws somebody out of it.
Dude, I loved his match against Jay White.
Yeah,
last year was awesome.
Yeah. Dude.
That started off Jay White's losing streak, which was so entertaining.
Right. And, dude, Jay White.
Jay White. I miss Jay White. He might be going back to Japan soon. He posted pictures of himself in airports.
That's not a good idea.
Dude, I need him back.
Yeah, get him one of those suits where no air can get to him at all. Just get him to Japan for us.
Yes.
And then work it out later.
Just like have him sit in a room for 2 weeks.
Just like
I need this guy in the G1.
Hazmat suit, whatever.
Just like swim to Japan, dude.
Swim.
Like
it's good for you. From New Zealand.
No problem. Okay, so we had a fun week, right?
Oh, great week.
Oh, yeah, it was a great week. Is there anything in wrestling world that happened today? Not today, but this week. That really...
In general, not that I can super think of.
No.
Pretty vanilla week.
Pretty vanilla week, yeah.
Nothing exciting, but also... the NXT thing.
We're not talking about the NXT thing. This is not
But there
this is not a sports entertainment product.
This is not
That's
an
not. But NXT is wrestling. WWE is sports entertainment.
This is not a sports entertainment.
NXT is WWE. What is
No,
that? Everyone.
not.
This is sports
Vince
entertainment.
has to watch the
Oh,
product.
whatever, dude.
This is a wrestling podcast, so we're not going to discuss that.
No, pretty vanilla week for pro wrestling, though.
Right. Do we get back Excalibur?
Dude, I hope so. I think someone said that he's coming back on the 26th, so maybe like next week or something.
So they just took him off for a couple weeks. I don't love Taz, JR, and
No,
Tony.
it was better this week than last week.
Dude, JR just trips me out right now.
JR is so snarky this week.
He kind of needs
He needs a positive influence.
Excalibur, right? Because I think Tony's his buddy.
We need Excalibur.
And I think Tony gets Tony's been around him long enough to be like, guys, when he gets this way, it's funny. And then he just lets him go. You know what I mean? Doesn't try to bring him out of that mood. And Taz literally lives life in the same mood that JR gets into these moments, right? And that's just who Taz is.
Oh my god, dude! His commentary on Dark with Shivani was so funny.
He's great with Tony.
He's great with Tony. He's great with Excalibur on Dark. Dude, the Dark commentary is so funny. They'll just say stuff.
It's
and
a little better.
They'll crack up at it for like 10 seconds.
But also, I think that they don't have the problem that the sports entertainment company has, where there's a guy in your ear saying, "Okay, well, you got to put this over, you got to put that over. Talk about the sun, talk about the moon, talk about Chevys, talk about Chevys. We're trying to negotiate with Chevy right now.
Yeah.
Talk about Corvettes. You know,
Yes.
I might have one. They don't have to listen to that crap." But I do think that they have bullet points that they're supposed to hit, and they have to talk about the match. Whereas on Dark,
they're just
they can just riff.
It's literally just riffing,
right?
which is super entertaining, and it makes the product like way more enjoyable.
Sure, as long as you come back to the match.
Yes.
You know, and you can't help it. You're watching the match, so you get there, right? Yeah. Okay, so for me, for the Go Home Heat Kid Ray, who is trying his hardest to bring the evil empire into these conversations.
I don't
bring New
really.
York.
Oh,
They're not even based in New York anymore.
yes.
Were they even based in New York in the first place?
Well,
That's a real old school thing.
yeah,
That's
the Garden was home base before they got the headquarters up.
For like, I thought you were talking about NXT.
Stanford,
I was like,
Connecticut.
what are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about WWF.
WWF, Vince McMahon Sr.
That's the guy. All right. Anyways.
WWF, save the animals.
Exactly, dude.
Dude, the T-shirt where the panda
The
has
panda
the wheelchair, that has
with
the
the chair.
chair in his
Dude,
hand, is
so good.
so good.
So good.
Maybe the greatest T-shirt ever made is WWF Panda
Yes.
beat with
Yes.
a steel chair in his hands, because they're steel chairs. By God,
Absolutely.
by God, being a JR, I will never say by God
By
without thinking of JR. There's
By God.
there's probably 20
like,
things
oh my
I'll
God,
say in
dude.
my life that I will never ever think of without
Dude,
thinking
it's
of
like,
JR.
dude,
He's
it's like
ingrained
As
in
God
my
is my
life.
witness.
Yeah,
Think of this,
That
right?
man's
He
broken in
killed him.
half.
every time I put ice in my cup, I think of what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! Every time I put ice in my cup, and I can't stop it. Because one time when we were going to WrestleMania, that was the only movie we had, so I had to watch it for like 8 hours on end. And
Are you saying that Schwarzenegger's performance wasn't Oscar worthy? Because that's slander in this house.
What other performance was he going up against?
How did Schwarzenegger never do anything in wrestling?
He did do it.
He's in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
What
done.
did he do?
Along with Snoop Dogg and Kid Rock.
Well, well, for one thing,
And Mickey Rourke.
he's had multiple bodybuilding competitions, and Hunter has been honored at those things, so he has kind of a okay. The other thing is he did do a couple of Monday Night Raws and stuff where he was sitting around ringside or whatever kind of personality style fit there and all that. But again, this is about wrestling, not performance art.
Have they ever called it performance art?
Wait, I called it performance art.
Yeah.
But
Tonight we're going to perform art.
on that note,
Yeah, I'll see.
I'll be back.
Yes. Next week.
Speaking of great Arnold performances, you sleep on 17 Terminator movies.
Is there?
For New Japan Jerry, for the Go Home Heat Kid Ray, for me KP, this has been a Go Home Heat production. Copyright 2020. I'll be back.
Goodbye.